technical wizard in the background has everything ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for our October dinner meeting. I have a hard time realizing that it's almost the end of October already for 2020. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing at this point. Again, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Colleen Clark and I'm the CEO of the Greater Langley Chamber of Commerce. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples. And I say that depending on where you are joining us from this evening in the Lower Mainland. Here based in Langley, it's the Kwantlen, Casey, Semiahmoo, and Matsqui. I'd also like to take now a minute to introduce the board of directors, some VIPs and staff that are joining us this evening. I'm acknowledging them because they are on the call, but when we do the webinar format, yes, you only see the panelists and the people that are speaking up on the screen for the evening. Up on the screen this evening is our president, Brad Kendall, Ashdown Capital. Our past president joining us this evening, Jack Nicholson from Otter Co-op. Community director from South Langley, Allison Killeen. Our community director from the city of Langley, Jenny Hinch with Lucid Water. Our community director from North Langley, Frank Buckholz. Our community director from Aldergrove, Michelle Burrows from Aldergrove Credit Union. Our director, Brody McIntosh from Bromac Mechanical. Director Joanne Saunders from KPU. Director Chris Finley from BDC. Director Cynthia Drager from Mortgage Alliance. Director John Chesko from Ascension Benefits Incorporated. And Director Chris Drisnoff from KSW Lawyers. Some of them are brand new, and welcome to your first dinner meeting as a new director on the chamber. Our elected officials joining us this evening, thank you for coming out tonight. Mayor Val Vandenbroek from the city of Langley, Nathan Pahal from the councillor from the city of Langley, and Rudy Stortboom from this councillor from the city of Langley. Chamber staff here working this evening, Christy Meyer, our Director of Membership, who will be doing our membership report this evening, and Sumner McCauley, our Events and Communications Coordinator. So I'll just go quickly right into my CEO report. It's been a busy month for the Greater Langley Chamber of Commerce, and it's been Small Business Week. Brad's going to touch on a lot more of that. So I just want to quickly thank the sponsors that came out and helped us with our Business Excellence Awards this year. To the Port of Vancouver, Aldergrove Credit Union, the Langley Advanced Times, TVO, and KPU. Thank you very much for helping us make our virtual Business Excellence Awards successful. We really appreciate it. We look forward to hopefully being in person next year where we can break bread and drink some wine and celebrate the community. This year, with COVID and everything going on, the BC Chambers partnered with all of the chambers in the province to bring you a brand new business resiliency program. And it's called Building Resilience to Thrive. It's powered by the BC Chamber Network and sponsored with our efforts at the Greater Langley Chamber. And UVic Gustafson School of Business, launched to businesses across the province, offered as a COVID-19 recovery. The 6-week program is delivered by award-winning professors Mark Colgate and Professor Brian Leacock, Dr. Mark Colgate. It'll be presented in 3 cohorts. There's way more information on our website, but the round 1 starts November 3rd, round 2 in January, and round 3 in February. It's $35 to get a certificate course through this program. So we encourage anybody who has questions or looking for more information to reach out to myself or the team at the chamber, and we can get you signed up and get you some more information. We understand how very busy everybody is right now. So that program as well will be recorded, and you can pop on, like you don't have to sit in the cohort on the day of, you can go on later and watch your hour program and go through and do the work. The same thing with our webinars and events that we've been planning. A lot of them are available on our website. We invite you to log in, take a look at your leisure. The Business Excellence Awards is up. If you didn't get a chance to join us, take a look at that. Many of them there are very informative and can help you out with a lot of different things that are going on and managing some of the situations that are occurring. Also, I'd just like to give you a save the date heads up quickly for the November dinner meeting. Will be on November 24th, and we will be awarding the HD Stafford Award at that time. And again, Brad's going to follow up with a bunch of that. So with that said, I want to say thank you very much. And I'm going to now introduce Christy Meyer, Director of Member Relations, for her to give the membership report. And we're also going to do a little bit different tonight. I would ask, Christy is going to ask for call for motion. If you could throw in the chat box, if you are going to make the motion or second the motion, and then you'll see a poll pop up in front of you to vote on the motion after that. So Christy will give the report, and then we'll go to the voting on that. Thank you very much, folks, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Colleen. Good evening, Chamber members and guests. It's my pleasure to present the membership report this evening. The purpose of the report is to recognize new members and, of course, to request your approval to accept these new applicants into the Greater Langley Chamber of Commerce. Before I introduce the new members that unfortunately couldn't make it this evening, I will advise you of the new applicants who are unfortunately unable to join us. Buns Master Bakery, Jody Steves and the VIP team, Sovereign Vitality Natural Medicine, Studio One Dance Center, and company number 123397 BC Ltd. And now I will introduce the members that are with us on this call tonight. Elizabeth Hamel-Pago, Get in the Loop Langley, BG Shisha, Ease Management Inc., and Allison Colleen. A first and seconder in the chat box, please. And now we can vote all in favor in the poll. Thank you.
Sumner, the poll's blank.
I see people voting here.
I don't think we can vote as the panelists.
Panelists don't get to vote. That's good. Perfect. You learn something new on Zoom every time you turn around. Okay, I believe the vote is in. Thank you very much, folks, and that moves us forward. So welcome to the membership. And thank you very much, Christy. It is my pleasure to turn it over to our president, Brad Kindle, who will introduce our guest speaker this evening and go over several other things that we've been up to. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Colleen. Thanks, Christy. So again, I echo their comments. Welcome to everyone here today, and a special welcome to the new members that are joining us for the first time. Now more than ever is the time to celebrate small business. And this month we did just that at the Chamber. Annually, October is Small Business Month in Canada, which is a time to celebrate and support our local business community. As we wrap up Small Business Month, I want to acknowledge the efforts of our Chamber team for providing a variety of learning options over the last few weeks, in addition to our 24th annual Business Excellence Awards Community Edition. We hosted the awards last week, and I am thrilled to announce the recipients of the 6 categories. In Outstanding Support, Adult Cognitive Wellness Center. For Most Innovative, Well-Seasoned, a gourmet food store. The Excellence in Collaboration Award went to Joseph Richard Group. Frontline Hero was awarded to Kim Snow of Kim's Angels. And Inspirational Leader, Rosalind Henderson of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Langley. And then lastly, Employer of the Year, Mountain View Veterinary Hospital. So congratulations to all the nominees for 2020 and to all the recipients. We certainly look forward to hopefully hosting a much bigger, grander 25th anniversary in person, hopefully next October. So stay tuned. As you're all aware, we recently had an election. So we'd like to thank all the candidates for running in this quick, short notice election. As you all know, we're still waiting on the mail-in ballots for both the riding of Langley and Langley East to be counted prior to there being any formal declaration of MLA in either of our regions there. With respect to the Canadian Chamber and the AGM, Colleen alluded to the last couple of days, many of us, and Colleen and Frank, I'd like to recognize the two of you for being the front runners representing the Langley Chamber of Commerce. We were working as a chamber with 450 other chambers across the country to pass strong policies that the Canadian Chamber will then move forward with the federal government to hopefully implement change. And this is really the chambers being the voice of business, which is, as you're all aware, a very key piece of what we do at the Chamber. Lastly, before I introduce our speaker for tonight, I'd like to touch on the HD Stafford Award. So this year, we typically hand out this award at Christmas time. We're doing things a little bit differently this year, as you'll hear here. So, but for 40 years, the Chamber of Commerce has been pleased to recognize the HD Stafford Good Citizen of the Year Award. This award honors the memory of Harold Stafford, whose name defines good citizenship in our community and recognizes individuals who contribute time, resources, and knowledge to make a difference in the community and affect change for the greater good. With everything going on in the community these days, we have no doubt that there will be, a flurry of really strong nominees, I guess you'd say, this year. So we look forward to everyone submitting those nominations, and we will be awarding that the HD Stafford Award at our November dinner meeting this year on November the 24th. So the nomination information is up on our website, so please consider nominating someone that you feel does great work in our community. It is now my pleasure to introduce our speaker for this evening. We actually learned in the quick briefing here that we have met before. I recognize Paulina, but I don't think she recognized me. And coincidentally enough, I actually know her husband as well, which she pointed out. So it is my pleasure to introduce Paulina. In her role as Paulina Cameron, is the CEO of the Forum for Women Entrepreneurs, commonly referred to as FWE, and I will be referring to that in her introduction here. So in Paulina's role as CEO of FWE, she leads an ambitious team to educate, mentor, and connect wildly successful women entrepreneurs across the country. Prior to FWE, she was the regional director for Western Canada at Futurepreneur Canada, where she led a team that brought hundreds of youth entrepreneurial dreams to life. A champion of gender equality, Paulina is the author of best-selling the best-selling book, Canada 150 Women, Conversations with Champions, Leaders, and Luminaries, co-founder of Young Women in Business, and is a sought-after speaker and advisor. Paulina currently serves on the board of directors for YWCA Metro Vancouver, Immigrant Employment Council of BC, and the Government of British Columbia's Small Business Roundtable. Believing in empowerment for the next generation, Paulina is also a visiting professor in the entrepreneurship and innovation at Simon Fraser University, and has advised the federal government and the Prime Minister on Canada's youth employment strategy. She's been recognized in the community for her significant contributions, including being awarded the Vancouver Board of Trade's inaugural Wendy McDonald Award, the International Alliance for Women Top 100 Award in Washington, D.C., the KPMG National Leadership Award, and was a finalist for the YWCA's Women of Distinction Awards. She gained her experience working at KPMG in audit and management consulting, obtaining the CPA/CA designation. So with all of that said, she's obviously unbelievably busy. So we really want to say thank you first off, Paulina, for joining us, and welcome.
Thank you, Brad, for having me.
So this is where we would awkwardly go and sit in front of a fire to start our
That would be
fireside-
lovely, and hopefully with a
fireside
glass
chat.
of something delicious in hand.
Yes, well, we welcome and encourage, as a matter of fact, everyone to do that themselves. If you want to go get yourself a glass of wine or a drink while we kind of chat it out here. So just bringing up, because I accidentally just closed the fireside chat here. But why don't you start? We've heard your bio. Why don't you start to just, in your own words, kind of describe kind of you and what you do and FWE.
Sure. So I get to have the joy and delight of supporting women entrepreneurs across Canada through FWE. So FWE is a Vancouver-based national charity that supports women entrepreneurs with our core programming. It has existed for almost 20 years. So the organization has been around for a while. I've been in the role since January of last year. And in that time, I also had my second baby. So it's been a fun 2 years. And really what we do is we focus on providing education and programming to radically democratize access to education and community for women entrepreneurs. We're so excited about what has happened with our organization over the last 19 years. And over the last couple of years, we've really been growing our national reach and impact. And it's been incredible over the last, 8 months. We have reached more women entrepreneurs in the last few years cumulatively. So while mostly everything about the pandemic is awful, what it has enabled us to do is to reach women entrepreneurs who otherwise, couldn't travel for access to resources or couldn't engage otherwise. So that has been a silver lining in that we've really been able to support more women across the country. And my path to here, oh my goodness, my path to here. As you heard, I've been a champion for gender equity for as long as I can remember. It's been something that I have been passionate about, continue to be, and either in the corporate realm or in the entrepreneurial realm. And this role is really neat because it combines those worlds for me. Those who hear about my bio are often very surprised that I'm a CPA with KPMG background and training, as I do not practice audit and I'm not a practicing auditor. But that's the funny thing about work and journeys. They take you in funny places.
Totally. That's exciting. How and why was FWE started?
The vision was really to provide dedicated space for women entrepreneurs to elevate themselves, their own leadership, and their own business. And so it was started with a seed of a program called E-Series, which stood for Entrepreneur Series. It has since grown to numerous programs that we run throughout the year, but the vision holds the same. We want to see Canadian women entrepreneurs run businesses, run successful businesses, success being defined on their own terms. And we want them to have a space where they can access the knowledge and the community to support them in doing that. We want to see thousands of Canadian women entrepreneurs thriving in that. And yeah, that is what we are excited about.
That's awesome. Speaking of excitement, the new program, Money Moves. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, one of the challenges that we know, voice is not audible. Is that my voice that you can't hear? Hopefully not. Hopefully it's okay.
I can hear you clear.
I can hear you well.
Okay. Okay, great. So, one of the challenges that we know women entrepreneurs face is access to capital. All entrepreneurs need capital to grow their business, and there are systemic and historic and cultural barriers why women are under-resourced and under-financed. And when you don't have enough money to run your company, you can't grow it to the scale you want to grow it. And we wanted to create a program that will help women navigate finding the right capital to grow their business, get the right community to pursue and growing their business, and create a unique path for them. The thing with capital is there's a lot of narrative and stories out there that this is the way to grow. If you're going to grow, you're going to have hockey stick growth, you're going to get equity, you're going to sell, and it's going to look like a certain way. That cannot be further from the truth of the reality. Everyone's funding path to growing their business is going to look different because it's going to be connected to their unique values, their vision, what they do or don't want to integrate into their business. And so this program that we are in the final week of our pilot this October, it was oversubscribed by 300%. It was incredible, the reception it got, is really designed to walk women through the different sources of funding capital. So we cover everything from debt, equity, grants, crowdfunding, as well as new and different innovative models, how to apply it to their business based on their vision and values, and what their path to obtaining it could be. And everything that we do, we believe that needs to come from the stories of entrepreneurs. So we don't have, folks that are practitioners or haven't actually walked the talk in it. All of our programming is delivered by entrepreneurs who have experienced what they are talking about and can lend real life and real experience perspective.
Is this something you're going to do over and over again? I mean, obviously being 300% subscribed, there's demand for it.
Yeah. So the intent was to run a pilot this October to really learn what is the right format, how do we bring all these pieces together in a really meaningful way. So once we wrap up this week, we'll be evaluating all the feedback that we get, and we will absolutely run it again, TBD on exactly what changes and things we do to update for the format, but the intent and the learning outcomes will be consistent. Yeah.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And how about Pitch for the Purse? Tell us about how that was started.
Yeah, so this is the 5th year of Pitch for the Purse, and it culminates with 3 women entrepreneurs pitching for a cash prize of $25,000. It started 5 years ago because of the ratio of women who participated in general and open pitch competitions just wasn't there. You would see maybe one or two. And again, it's all around access to capital. And so the program is kind of focused on a few different things. And the shiny part of it is one woman winning $25,000 cash, but that's only a tiny actual element of it. All of the entrepreneurs who apply to be part of the program receive feedback from it. They get plugged in directly into their community. Our semifinalists receive one-on-one mentor coach who works with them on their business and their pitch. Our 3 finalists receive additional mentorship and coaching. And one of the things that we track is whether, as a result of the education and connections that they make, are they able to raise funds for their business? So last year, all of the previous semifinalists, the stat that we had from their data is within the 6 months of completing the program, they raised cumulatively over 20 million, which if you know anything around raising funds for women-led businesses, that is an astounding and incredible number. And so those are the kind of metrics that we track. And so this year, in our 5th year, we've added a few additional elements. One is we have an incredible diverse community panel of individuals from across Canada who are selecting the 10 semifinalists and 3 finalists. What we are keeping the same is that the audience picks the winner. So last year, well, not last year, in February, which feels like a bajillion years ago, but in February of this year, there was 800 people gathered downtown at Fairmount, Vancouver, where they watched the 3 pitches live. And then what happens is you actually text to vote. So you live text to vote to pick the winner. So we will do same, except obviously not have 800 people in a room all together, but we will do so virtually, which, you know, we will miss a lot of the in-person elements, and the gala that we host is incredibly fun and energizing, and people absolutely love it. And, you know, the top of the top people actually come out to it because they want to support. But in doing it virtual, we'll be able to showcase it to more entrepreneurs and to more individuals across the country. So you win some, you lose some for sure. It'll be a great show as is, and we're keeping that element of audience picks the winner. We've also introduced 2 additional cash prizes for the finalists because it's a year where we really recognize that's important. And, you know, to give you a sense of, does this matter? Is there a need for it? Last year, we had 207 applicants for Pitch for the Purse. Applications for this year just closed on Friday of last week, and we had 468 women apply. So the need very much is there, and we're excited just to be able to access more of these women to go through that, and everyone in the community plays a role in that.
What's the age demographic typically? I'd imagine it varies. Pretty
right from 18 to, I think our oldest applicant this year was 64.
Wow, that's awesome. What a cool program. That's similar to the, I guess, a much grander scale of what I was involved with your husband and Yell for the.
Yeah, a little bit different. Yeah.
A much smaller version. I should have pushed them your way. I was mentioning I should have pushed them your way. You could have given them some tips and pointers. So really, I mean, aside from going obviously virtual, do you think COVID's going to impact it at all this year? Do you think there'll be you already started having applicants, or when does that start?
Oh, you mean for the event itself? Yeah, that'll go live on November 6th. Yeah, I expect we'll have a lot more people attending, you know, and truthfully, I think the biggest challenge of it will be you only have so much attention span when you're digital. Like, you can only handle Zoom for so long. And so the pressure is on us as a team and as an organization to deliver a phenomenal show that is deeply engaging and really elevates the entrepreneurs. So that will be kind of the big piece. And our organizationally, and I know, you know, any of the small or any of the business owners on the call can, I'm sure, resonate with this. What has been impacted most significantly, other than shifting everything to be online delivery, is we do a lot of fundraising at our gala. That's one of our core operational fundraisers. As I mentioned, we are a charity. And so doing fundraising on a Zoom online for a 1-hour gala is an interesting nut to crack. How to do it in a interesting, engaging, and meaningful way where you're not just staring at a screen as people read out numbers and you put your hand up or not. And so we're really having to rethink, what does that look like from an organization perspective? How do we do engagement? What is fun? What is exciting? What is new and innovative? You know, there's so much technology coming out around it too. So it's definitely putting us on our toes in terms of delivery, which is great because it's going to be a phenomenal show and like nothing before, even though we will certainly miss the energy of being in that huge ballroom together.
Certainly. So you spoke to how COVID has changed some of your programs. How specifically do you think COVID, what new challenges do you think it's going to bring to women entrepreneurs, COVID in particular? Do you think there'll be different challenges that, say, men face?
Yeah, there's a couple things that have really been amplified through the pandemic. One, childcare. I know we're going to talk a little bit about it, but predominantly women are the ones responsible for that. Childcare and elder care, those are the two pieces. And that if you don't have child or elder care, like if you have other responsibilities, you simply can't run your business in the same way, or your team. You might have challenges with capacity in your team. And then secondly, we talked a little bit about access to capital, but what it means to not have had the same access to capital is it means you don't have the same reserves and you don't have the same buffers. So when COVID hit, women entrepreneurs didn't have the time or the resources or the capacity to buffer the storm. They couldn't wait for government interjections. They couldn't wait to see what would happen. Cash flow was an issue from day one. And we also know that a lot of women-led businesses are smaller in size and are differently structured. And so a huge number of them couldn't access the resources from the beginning. So you saw this lag. So not only were they challenged from the beginning based on their previous access to capital, but then the support that was coming out wasn't accessible either. And so that was a huge impact. I have to say, when I saw that we had nearly 500 women apply for Pitch for the Purse this year, I shed the happiest of tears, because one thing that I do know that women are phenomenal at is they will do a lot with not a lot, and they will be resilient and they will be agile. And so I love that hasn't been torn down by the pandemic, that is still the case. Similar when Colleen was talking about the resilience program that the Chamber introduced, which sounds really phenomenal. We in June delivered a week-long resilience program. We had 900 women sign up within a week to partake in it. And so that is kind of the one piece that I really do see with our entrepreneurs, is that they're really applying those muscles of agility really quickly.
It's amazing. So 500, I was going to ask, 500 applicants this year, and you said 240 last year?
Yeah, so 207 last year, and this year 468. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta feel pretty good. So let's talk a little bit of advocacy. As you're aware, the Canadian Chamber's Council for Women's Advocacy has presented 10 items to the federal government that the federal government should action to support women and facilitate their participation in the workforce. One of them, a fundamental issue we touched on, childcare. What are your ideas? How can we address?
Yeah, fun question. I mean, childcare has got to be up there. It's an essential need. I think being able to deduct childcare expenses as a business deduction is a really great way to go about it. And I think it needs to be inclusive of various structures. I know a lot of people have had to go away from, for example, daycares, et cetera, but move to in-house nannies. So I think we need to get really creative about how we enable people to do that. I would like to see I would have loved to see the wage subsidy be extended and be eligible for hiring in-home childcare, so that female business owners could return to running their work. I think that would have been a really creative thing to see. I know that procurement was touched on it. I think there needs to be a goal set around it. If you don't have a number and a goal, you don't have something to measure it, you don't have the pressure around it, and it's not tangible in the same way. So I think there needs to be a specific goal. And then, I think one thing that's really interesting, and BC has a bit of a precedent around it, so it could totally be considered, is there could be a tax credit for venture capital that goes to women entrepreneurs. In BC, we have the BC Small Business Venture Capital Tax Credit. So we have something that has the angle of local. The precedent would be there to consider what that could look like for women-owned businesses. And then, I was looking at those recommendations. One of the pieces that was up there was facilitating and upskilling and reskilling and job pivots for women. I think that's really great. And again, where I think we can make it easy for government to look at what exists and accommodate or dedicate pieces to women entrepreneurs. So because we're in BC, we have here the BC Job Training Grant. Make it easier for women to take it, allow them to use it and apply it for courses like what organizations like FWE is doing, like use it for dedicated groups and allocate that specifically. And I think you would then see much higher uptake in that regard. So there's my dream list.
There you go. Colleen, you taking notes? So looking through the 10 of course you are. So looking through the 10 items that the federal government should action and support, I noticed that financing is not a priority. what could or what would you suggest the federal government do to assist with this?
Yeah, I was so surprised to see that. And then I thought about it and went, the government really doesn't necessarily play in that space of delivery of financing. However, I do think there should have been recommendations around access to capital or tracking access to capital. A lot of women's groups have been calling for the government to share deeper data around what has been the accessibility around the resources, including the financing resources, or BDC as the Crown Corp, to share more around that. Truthfully, I think there should be very specific and dedicated funding towards that happening. And I think there is, like that venture capital tax credit, there are some really innovative ways where that can happen, where there has been precedent in different policies that it wouldn't be, necessarily require a tax code or different kind of amendments like that.
Yeah, it's definitely an area where they could get more creative, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's a woman that's looking to start her business today, especially in today's trying times, what advice would you give them?
Get plugged into community. So the number one thing that when we ask our entrepreneurs who have been successful, that they talk about what has enabled them to grow their business, to stay sane, and to navigate whatever storms come, it's the people they surround themselves with. So it's the community of peer and other entrepreneurs. It's the community of experts, mentors, advisors, etc. But definitely not going at it alone, because you can utilize and leverage more resources that way. And there's so much out there that you can get plugged into, both regionally and nationally, that it really doesn't have to be as lonely as often it can be.
It's awesome. Those are the fireside questions that I've got. I mean, I guess one other thing I'd ask is what do you think's next for FWE? What's exciting? What's on the horizon? What is kind of the next plans or your dreams of potentially what could happen next?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think next year we're going to have over 1,000 applications for Pitch for the Purse. I think our pitch prize needs to be bigger. I think our Money Moves program needs to be accessible for all women entrepreneurs who are thinking about getting funding for their business. And I think we're going to see an incredibly radically generous community of people coming and actually supporting women entrepreneurs in a way we haven't before. So those are all things I'm really excited for. As an organization, we've been growing quite a lot over the last 2 years. So my team would probably also want me to say that, like, they get a break and get a moment to breathe in between. Yeah, those are the pieces I'm quite excited about. And, there's great metrics and things that we track, like 100% of the women getting the funding that they need to grow their business, or creating X number of jobs, or X number of revenue growth. And that is all important, as is how women, sorry, that's my dog in the background, you probably hear, as is how women feel. Do they not feel lonely? Do they feel confident? Do they feel connected? Do they feel supported? Do they feel like they can support their families, their communities, etc.? Because here's the thing, we know that women invest back in the communities. Women spend more time and more money putting into their immediate communities, into their employees, into their families, into education. They donate more. And so it's not only good for the women and the women's business and their immediate families, but it's good for all of our communities and our economies when we see women grow their businesses and thrive.
Right. Every dollar circulates, if you're spending it locally.
Totally.
Colleen mentioned in the chat box there, if anyone has a question for Paulina, please enter it in the chat box, and we can, as long as she's got the answer, we can be sure she gets it. We'll give everybody a minute. I guess maybe while we're filling time waiting for any questions, if there are any, can you maybe highlight one of your favorite winners from the Pitch for the Purse?
Okay, that's legit like asking who my favorite child is. So
Maybe just highlight some winners.
I can do that. We've had some really phenomenal ones. Last year, our finalists last year, we had an entrepreneur from Alberta who's a farmer, actually, Lynn Dargy. She lives in a small town just outside of, or like an hour and a half outside of Edmonton, actually. And she created an app to support farmers moderate their grain pricing and be more competitive in that space and actually track pieces. So she and her sisters run a family farm that they inherited. And I just, it was such an incredible story of not who you typically expect to be a tech entrepreneur, but deeply plugged in and with great expertise. Yeah, it's hard to single out just one, but there is another one Patrice Mousseau, who runs a company called Satya Organics, who started making eczema cream in a crock pot in her kitchen because her daughter had awful eczema. And at the age of 6 months, they were trying to put her on, crazy steroids. And she didn't feel like that was what would work or what felt right. And now runs a very successful and growing business. So I think there's a lot out there where the narrative is the assumption that innovation looks only like technology, and that there's only a certain person who does innovation, or that it only looks a certain way. And what I love about the women that we get to work with is that they are embedding innovation no matter what their industry is, if it's technology, if it's product, if it's food, and they're doing so incredibly. And they're embracing, or they're integrating social values into their business. Every single entrepreneur that comes through our programs is addressing at least one sustainable development goal. And I think that is deeply important. The winner from our first, I should mention this because this is a phenomenal story, but the winner of our first pitch for the purse 5 years ago, Tara Bosch, she was 21. She runs a company called Smart Sweets. They just publicly announced yesterday that they had a huge transaction, just under 400 million. And that's, within the last 4 years. And so we really see that when we're able to back these women with education, with community, with the mentorship, and then kind of get out of their way and let them do their thing, bring their vision to life, we really see tremendous success. Okay, I see a question here. Is my team aware of funding for entrepreneurs barriers to self-employment caused by disability or chronic pain, and they require assistive technologies? Oh, really great question. Funding specifically, I know Van City does quite a lot in that work, and they have dedicated grants towards it. There is also a program that is run through Community Futures. I am blanking on their name, but Community Futures provincially runs a program specifically dedicated to supporting small business or entrepreneurs with disabilities. And there's also a phenomenal organization called, I'm going to look it up to make sure I remember the name right, but I think it's called Able BC. Yeah, oh no, that's Alliance of Business Beverage Licensees. Not quite the same thing. Something close to Able. BC Center for Ability, maybe. Oh, I might have to look it up and get back to you afterwards, but there is an organization that does quite a lot to support businesses with team members with varied abilities, or with small business owners in that same area.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions then before we wrap up and let Paulina get back to her busy life? No? Well, if that's that, then I would like to say thank you again, Paulina, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And thank you everybody else for joining. And I guess, can I get a motion to adjourn? And a seconder, hopefully, as well, in the chat box. Perfect. You got a bunch of seconders. So Paulina, you can sort that one out.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Paulina, and thank you everybody for joining us. Everybody enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you next month at the November dinner meeting.
Thanks so much.
Take care.